Oh my gosh, you guys, do you ever just wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I can't believe how ugly I am? I'm getting too heated. We're moving on. So I spend money on good toilet paper. We actually moved in for not the correct reason. I feel so fresh, so clean. I washed my hair, and it's a whole process because I have extensions. My hair doesn't grow past like here, and it just wisps off. My mom and I like to call it hag hair. I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know if it's because I got low iron, but my hair does not grow, okay? And so I love a little extension. But anyways, it is a whole process washing my goddamn hair. So, anyways, I haven't washed it for a week. Yep, a week. Don't come at me. And I woke up this morning and I'm getting ready and I'm like, wow, like nothing I was doing was making me feel good about my appearance. And sometimes, you just want to feel good. You want to look good, feel good. You want to strut your shit into your gym or into your job, whatever the hell you're doing. And it was not happening for me. Is this recording? Okay, thank God. And I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Like I couldn't pinpoint what was going on. And I just washed my hair and oh my God, that was it. I'm not as ugly as I thought. Hi, welcome back. My name is Sophie. I'm your wellness weirdo. And this episode, I'm going to talk about moving in with your significant other and questions to ask before you move in. Maybe I didn't ask all these questions, but I wish I would have. Okay. So we're going to talk about all of that and even talk about like, right now we're in the process of buying a house, when to buy a house with your significant other after maybe you've lived together in some sort of apartment rental for a while. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, we're going through a little bit of an intro. I have some new little beginning segments that I think would be fun for my little mic chats. If you're new here, these mic chats, you do not have to watch this. You can plug your earphones in, go for a walk. This can be a podcast style if you want it to be. You can also watch it. It really doesn't matter. The reason why I'm doing YouTube instead of a podcast for now is one, I don't want to have another so-called business, you could say, because I have my fitness business. I have my personal Instagram. I would have to rename it something, right? And then I would have another Instagram. And there's just a lot of things to juggle as a singular person. Eventually, yes, outsourcing would be great. But for now, I'm trying to keep things kind of under my name, Sophie VanSurksum, and then just my BASAL by Soph fitness brand. I also prefer YouTube over like a podcast platform per se, because now that I have switched a little bit more to diving deeper into my fitness business and knowing that that's kind of where I make my income from, that is my career. A lot of times I need to find new lead gen or new types of audiences. And some of that will be maybe you're an old listener from the old podcast and you like to watch this. That's great. Or maybe you're someone who had just stumbled upon maybe a masterclass that I am doing on a fitness topic on my YouTube. And then you kind of check out the BASAL brand and, you sign up for a membership or something like that. So that's kind of why I'm doing YouTube. It's easier to find new content and new people versus if you already have a podcast, the podcast listeners are typically people that already know you. I'm hoping to reach new people. So send your friends, by the way. Would mean a lot. If you haven't yet subscribed and you're creepy watching my video right now and you're like, I don't want her to know I watched, just, thanks for the view. But second of all, please subscribe if you haven't yet. It does help me. It does make me continue to make these videos. And I love doing this. And I think it's a great, creation outlet for me. So I would love if you could subscribe, hit a like button, add a comment. If you liked the video, if you have any ideas, if you really want a podcast, what would you name it? Tell me the name. Maybe if there's something crazy good one day, I'll turn this into a podcast because I have the audio, I have the video. It's not that hard to throw it up, but for now we're sticking on YouTube. Okay. So business updates with the BASAL stuff. So far, this quarter is going very swell. I have been a little bit busy, so this YouTube video is literally last minute. But I got her in, I got it done. But currently I'm moving all of my content that I have with my clients and my membership clients onto a different platform. So it is a lot of fucking work. Rather than sending guides out and getting guides once you sign up for the membership, you're going to have video tutorials of how to use the app. You're going to have it's like a combination between Slack and Facebook. It's called Mighty Networks. It is such a good community hub. It's started by a female, and I was like, absolutely, you can use AI for a lot of things. It is absolutely amazing. So if you're a business owner and you need a new form of like a hub, definitely look into Mighty Networks if you haven't yet. I am so excited to get started on it. I have a lot of the like layout done, but it's going to take a lot of work. So I'm currently working on that. I had just took on 3 new online clients, which is awesome. It's like the favorite part of my job is my weekly check-ins with my one-on-one clients. I've had clients for over 2 years, and I know everything about their life. I know everything about their poop schedule. I know literally everything about them, and it's just so fun to see them hit goals week to week and support them and feel like you're kind of with them through the ups and downs, because let me tell you, it is not linear. Yeah, especially this time of year, a lot of my clients have a fat loss goal, and we're not always hitting goals with aesthetics, right? Sometimes you're in different phases of your nutritional periodization or your actual periodization with your hypertrophy. And maybe the goal isn't necessarily like looks, it could be upping your weight with a back squat. It could be learning to intuitively eat correctly, sitting at maintenance, and all those phases are just as important. But yes, it is fun to get into a fat loss phase with my clients and see the muscle that now is uncovered when you lose the fat, because you do have to be eating at maintenance or in a slight surplus to gain muscle, unless you're a newbie lifter. It's called newbie gains. I know this is not going to be a wellness episode. We're going to be talking about houses and moving with your significant others, but I just love to add in little snippets like this because I'm so passionate about females getting strong, eating enough, because I have been on the other end of the spectrum and it is so exhausting. And lately, I don't know if it's just my feed in particular, and if it's because my algorithm has been algorithming and making this content pop up that is it's all about fat loss all the time for females, which is so interesting compared to what I see on like my boyfriend's feed. It's like how to get bigger biceps, or, looking through his feed and looking through mine, I'm getting all these like wellness girlies talking about the most niche topic. For example, why you should cut out this particular protein drink. If you're not, I don't think I can get into this right now. This is going to be a whole other episode because I'm going to go on a rant. I'm getting too heated. We're moving on. But speaking of my updates with my business, I've had a lot of feedback from people have DM'd me, actually. There's a couple comments on one of my previous YouTubes too about doing an episode about starting a business. And doing an episode about starting a business. Maybe it's out of college. Maybe you are trying to start like a side gig in addition to your full-time job. And I think people think it's a lot harder than it actually is. I had a friend who, called me and she was like, should I buy this course that's supposed to help you start a business? Because I'm having imposter syndrome and this is all happening. And I'm like, how much is the course, first of all? And I was like thinking, okay, if it's below $2,000, like maybe it'll help you with a few things, like go for it. This course was $9,000, you guys, just from random influencer that was selling a course on how to start a business. And it's really not that complicated. You figure it out as you go. No one knows what the fuck they're doing at the beginning. And so I want to give you like step-by-step instructions on how to start a business and make it as simple as possible, because I think a lot of people scare you out of it. Entrepreneurship is probably the best thing I've ever done for myself and my mental health, and highly, highly recommend. Okay, usually I'll do like a little weekly weird of the week, some weird shit that's happened during my week. And bro, I didn't prepare and I don't want to have to edit too much. So I don't have one. My weekly wellness obsession. Can't say the word. My weekly wellness obsession. Say that 3 times. Weekly wellness obsession. Weekly wellness obsession. Weekly wellness. Oh my God, try it before you judge me, bitch. Okay, weekly wellness obsession. So way back in the day, another YouTube video, I talked about my ADHD and my diagnosis, and I'm not on medication. I did one time take an Adderall for the first time in my life about 2 months ago. Life changing, but I really didn't want to go on it. So I'm still not on anything. I was thinking about trying a non-stimulant type of medication, but I don't know. It kind of just got in the back of my head and I just haven't done anything about it, but I probably should look into it. But maybe not, because my weekly wellness obsession, I've been introducing magnesium threonate, the one that's with the TH. And I've been taking 4 capsules in the morning, whatever the serving size is, because I've heard it helps with brain function. And it has been so helpful with my thoughts and my tasks. And I've heard it's actually really helpful for people with ADHD. And I know everyone's like knows about the magnesium craze. Everyone takes magnesium glycinate before you go to bed for sleep. If you're curious and you're confused about the magnesiums, let me help you. Magnesium glycinate for sleep, magnesium threonate, however the hell you say it. Take that in the morning because it helps with the brain function. And then if you're ever constipated, this will save your life. Magnesium citrate, C for constipation. You're welcome. Okay, and now we're getting into the questions to ask your significant other before you move in with them. I will say I haven't done all these, and maybe I should have. So we're going to give a little rundown, and then I'll kind of explain how me and Pat are doing living together and our plan going forward and all of that. But first, let's just talk about questions to ask your significant other before you move in with them. This is so important. And we're talking about like renting an apartment together where you have a lease. Okay. What happens? You're not buying a house with your significant other yet. You've been dating for 2 months. 6 months. You're maybe going to move into an apartment with them. Here are the questions that we can get into. So I guess first we should address, like, when do you bring up this conversation? I think you just bring it up, I would say a couple months into dating, casually, okay? Casually. You can ask, like, do you ever see yourself living with a partner? Or at what point in a relationship would you move in with someone? And if you think it's like 6 months and they think it's 5 years, like, you need to compare notes, right? Because that could be an issue, and that's something you can right away, right? Do you have an actual deal breaker? Is it 6 months? Is it 5 years? Are you going to make a compromise? Definitely something to chat about before you even think about moving in together. All right. Question number 1 is, why are we moving in together? Like, what is the reason behind moving in together? Is it to progress our relationship? Is it because I don't have enough money to pay for my rent? Like, what is the actual reason? And I think having that be like an open-ended answer for someone, if you're the one that's asking, is a really good idea. Because if it is for money purposes, let's say, you might have different trajectories of the relationship or different visions in the relationship. And you don't want to all of a sudden be cohabitating with someone who doesn't have the same vision of your relationship as you do. Something else to note is, if you do move in before marriage, you kind of risk the chance of being married without being married. Like, for example, you're sharing household responsibilities, but you're not married yet. And so it almost feels like sometimes, and I've seen this with a lot of couples, where you move in together and it actually delays the process of the next steps for your relationship. So, because it feels like you're married. You're doing everything that a married couple would do, and years can go by, and there's nothing wrong with not getting married. Like, if you don't want to get married and you enjoy just living with your partner, totally fine. But if you're trying to progress the relationship and you're hoping for these next steps, it's a really important conversation to have. Like, okay, just because we're living together and we're acting like a married couple, I still would appreciate us making sure we check back in with timelines. Like, we're also women. Like, if you want to have kids, like, getting the marriage step done first and then having the babies, right? So I think this conversation about just why we're moving together and the trajectory of the relationship and maybe setting some timelines is a good idea. But obviously, if you're dating for 3 months and you feel uncomfortable having these conversations, it's probably a sign maybe it's not the best time yet. There isn't a timeline on like how early you should move in together or how long you have to be dating. And I will tell you Pat and I's story, because we actually moved in for not the correct reason. We moved in because my rent doubled and I couldn't afford my 1-bedroom anymore. So I had been dating Pat, and I was single for a long time before Pat, and I just knew like he was the one. Gag. Ugh. But I did. And so I asked him to move in with me after 3 months. Do not recommend. But I will say we have been a married couple successfully for about 3 years now. Not actually married, but married. Question number 2, who's taking out the trash? But actually, more so, who's doing what? What do you prefer to do? How are we going to split up house responsibilities? Because you bet your ass a dude is not moving in with me and then he expects me to act like his mom and do his laundry and take out his trash and wash his dishes. Absolutely fucking not. So it is a conversation to be had ahead of time. Like, what do you like doing? What do you prefer not to do? And I know that's kind of like a drag of a conversation before you move in with someone, like it's so exciting, but you don't want to end up like, oh my God, just fighting all of a sudden about their pubes being left all over the place. Like, know who's doing what and why. And I think it's also a really important way to see, okay, what are their expectations around gender norms or gender expectations, gender roles, right? It also reveals a lot about their upbringing, how their parents distributed this in their childhood. Question number 3 is how to manage the rent and the bills. And I think every couple really does this different, but it is obviously a conversation that needs to be had. Are you going to split it 50-50? A lot of people do that, especially if it's maybe a newer relationship. You're both making about the same amount of money. There's other couples that definitely split more proportionally. So if someone's making $175K and someone's making $50K, is there a way you can, base it off of percentages of how much you make? Maybe someone's paying for rent and someone's paying for groceries or food or utilities, things like that. So there's different ways to do it, but no matter what, this conversation needs to be had before you move in. Question number 4, will you host family and friends? And what's like the rules around that? Are you allowed to just have a friend over whenever you want, or do you need to ask me beforehand? And I'm trying to like think about how Pat and I do this, but to be honest, we don't have friends. Just kidding. No, but actually, like, low key, we're not very social. We're working on it together as a team, but I've noticed, like, Pat usually does ask me, can this person come over? And I'm never going to say no because I think that's a dick move, but I think it's respectful to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you expect to come home from work and be alone and like decompress, then all of a sudden your partner has like a group of friends over that you need to socialize with, kind of a no-no, or kind of something that needs to be discussed. Question number 5 that my partner and I, oh, I don't like saying that. I don't know why. My boyfriend, or Pat, and I didn't discuss, and actually is one of the definitely trigger points in our relationship that we have been working on in therapy, is alone time. Like, what do you guys expect with alone time? Or what do you expect with alone time? How much alone time do you need? Because if one partner's moving in thinking, oh my God, we're going to hang out all the time, and the other partner's like, no, like, I still need to have my alone time at night, or I still have to decompress by myself for 30 minutes before bed, reading a book, not talking. And the other person's like, wait, no, but we're moving in so we can like hang out, eat popcorn, give each other back massages, and like touch each other's arms until we fall asleep at night. If you can tell, I'm not that person. I am the alone time person. Pat would hang out all day, and it's cute. Like, I love that he wants to be with me, but it has nothing to do with, how much you love each other, but it's how people, recharge. It's something to talk about beforehand, because it's hard if you're then all of a sudden telling them like, hey, like, I need to be alone, and them taking that the wrong way. Question number 6 is, how do you keep the relationship interesting? And this is something Pat and I also struggle with, because we aren't people who go out a lot and do a ton of activities. Like, we are both homebodies. So there's not really one person pushing the other person to be like, let's go do something. We both are like, should we do something? And we like look at each other and we're like, nah. And then we just sit down or like do a little date night in. But how are you going to keep it interesting? Because you will run the risk of then living with a roommate and not your significant other. And it can change to a roommate situation very fast. So again, this is conversations you have beforehand still. How are we going to have a date night every night? Like, what is your expectations around date nights? What's your expectations around like, how often would you like to have sex? And if it's weird talking about sex with your partner, first of all, it shouldn't be. But I think that's also a good guideline to have, because if you start being roommates and resent them for certain things as you're living together, the sex can slow down, the date nights can stop. It can literally just become like a mundane living situation of going through the same routine day and day again. And the next thing you know, this is your roommate and not your significant other. But what I think is important is because you're with each other all the time, you also have that much more of an opportunity to, you know, feel out those special moments. You have more chances to give them a special moment, to, you know, appreciate their love language, whether that's acts of service or physical touch. So still just trying to make sure there's special moments throughout this like mundane day and routine of living with someone. Last question is, and not a fun one to ask before you're moving in when you're getting all excited, but what do we do if we break up? Is this a lease? Are we both going to live here then until the lease is up and then we would go find separate houses? Or are we both going to try to break the lease? Is one person going to live here and one person's going to have to move out? This is all for like renting an apartment. What I'm kind of struggling with right now, if you guys are curious, is Pat and I have been renting, right? We're not married. We're not engaged, but we are house searching. And the more research I do on this topic, it's like, do not buy a house with someone you're not married to. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, okay. I'm nervous now. Like, I'm nervous. So I think I haven't had this conversation with him, but hopefully I have this conversation before I drop this episode. I think I need to have like a timeline, you know, like we've talked about marriage. We've talked about within maybe 3 to 5 years. I'm like low-key like a year, but like kind of joking with him. And I'm like, have you got my ring? Like being funny about it. But that's how I kind of, that's like a defense mechanism for me. Just like joke about it. Like, ha ha ha, when are you proposing? But I'm like, actually, ha ha ha, when are you proposing? It's fine. I'm good. It's funny. I literally never wanted to get married. And here we are. But you know, it's for buying a house purpose, you know, like that's the only reason, not because like I love him or anything. So yeah, I wouldn't buy I've had like a couple friends actually buy homes with their significant other, and that's a lot harder if you guys break up. If you actually have like both names on the leases and everything. So if you're going to buy a home with your partner, try to have one person put their name on the lease and know whose is what and whatever, you know, just because it can get really fucking messy and you do not want that. So, and I do not want that. So hopefully everything works out. Living together with someone is really fucking hard. I've kind of talked about this occasionally throughout these YouTube videos. Pat and I have definitely had our struggles. I mean, we've been living together for 2.5 years and we live in a 1-bedroom. We have 1 bathroom, 1 toilet, 1 sink. And it's so funny. When we first moved in, I was like, I'm never going to poop in front of you. I'm going to be such a like clean girly. Like I'll shut the door. And now we're at the point where it's like someone's brushing their teeth, someone's shitting, and it like there's literally nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to make a guy think you don't poop when you have a 1-bedroom. So here we are, we're getting down and dirty, and we've definitely had some arguments about cleanliness, and I don't think I'm alone with this when it comes to living with a male as a female, and you know, or just having one partner that's messier than the other. And it's funny because I'm not clean, and I'm not saying Pat's messy at all. Pat is clean in a different way than I'm clean. Pat loves to hold on to things. He loves to not get rid of flyers that someone handed to him at Art of Whirl. Last year, there's a sticker still sitting on his desk, you know, from maybe a tattoo artist that handed him his card, or you know, he just loves to keep little things. And I'm someone who like wants to get rid of everything. And that was actually one of our first fights, is when he was moving in, was me being like, okay, do you use this? Do we need to keep it here? This piece of artwork that looks like a tiki mug, do you want this displayed in our home? Please say no. Please say no. Yes, I love that tiki mug. And, you know, I was like, okay, well, how are we gonna figure this out? So there was a lot of things that he has a hard time letting go of, and I like will throw shit away without thinking about it. And then all of a sudden a week later, I'm like, fuck, where is that thing? And I'm like, oh, I threw it away. Nice. So we struggle with, you know, are we trying to be minimalistic, or are we just going to continue to hoard things? The other thing I struggle with is all of a sudden I have like an urge to clean, and there's like stuff everywhere, and I try to clean up for them, right? So you take their things, you put it in a pile, and then you maybe put it on, I don't know, their desk. But at least it's like consolidated. And men are like, where the fuck where is my moped headlight? I'm like, your moped headlight that you bought 6 months ago, I probably put it in your drawer. Like, I don't know now. It's 5 months down the line, but it was on the counter for 2.5 months. So I finally put it away somewhere. And so this was definitely a conversation that came up in therapy that we dug deep into. And I actually have never got emotional during couples therapy. And for some reason, I was waiting to have this conversation. I did not want to have this conversation about cleanliness and who does what, because I am a little anal, but I'm only anal sometimes. I notice it goes with my period cycle too. Like the beginning of the month when I am in my follicular phase, I'm like okay with a little mess. Like I can go to bed if there's a few dishes in the sink and I don't have to be crazy about it. But the second half of my cycle, when my anxiety is bad or I'm feeling overwhelmed, all of a sudden I'm like everything needs to be spotless, and I like clench my butt cheeks when there's salt on the counter and crumbs aren't picked up and bowls are left on the counter. And I finally, like, I just broke during this therapy session because it was during my luteal phase, but I was a little emotional. But I was also just like, we can't figure this out. And I don't want this to make or break our relationship because we cannot get on the same level with cleanliness. My threshold is lower than his. So like I see the kitchen sink or I see the bathroom and I'm like, this needs to be deep cleaned. And it bothers me before it bothers him. So then I'm doing it because it doesn't bother him yet. So, and Pat is like not messy. Like he's not a messy guy, and he does a lot of shit for me. He cleans up after me a lot. He makes the bed. He puts my shit away without me even knowing. But there's just little things like the bathroom, like it's bothering me. It needs to be deep cleaned, and he wouldn't have noticed it because it doesn't bother him. So our therapist gave us a good piece of advice. She was like, you're going to write down everything that needs to be done in the home. And it is kind of like a who does what. And it sounds like you're assigning roles to someone, but you're more so just like, who's in charge of what? And they're just going to take on the responsibility, but you're not going to be like, Pat, have you done this yet? This is your job. It's more so like, okay, Pat's in charge of making the bed every morning and taking out the trash. I'm always in charge of emptying the dishwasher and like wiping the kitchen counter down and kind of picking things up in the kitchen. It's just like having roles assigned so you don't feel so alone. And then you can check in every couple weeks. Like, how's everything going? You know, do we feel like you need support in this area? Or I'm going to be really busy this week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make the bed. Can you support me with this? And so that's something that we are working on. So here's our little house offer story. So we did put an offer on a house, and originally we took a pause on the house search because we were like, the house market is so bad right now. Like I would have to buy $1 million home to have it look like the way I want it to look without having to do a fuck ton of renovation or in a badass area. Like if we wanted a good location and a decent home, we were like, okay, we're taking a pause on this. But all of a sudden this gem popped up on our little house finder thing. And we're like, oh my God, it was a townhome. And it was within our budget. Yes, there was an HOA fee, but we were thinking and we're like, you know, an HOA fee might be smarter than buying a home where we all of a sudden have a $10,000 roof to fix. This HOA fee kind of covers like, there's not going to be surprise renovations or surprise, you know, mechanical work that needs to be done because that's what the HOA is for. So we're like, this actually could be a nice happy medium between where we are now renting and buying a house. So I actually think we're kind of looking more at townhomes now because of that. For that reason in particular, is like there won't be these surprises that come up throughout, you know, when you first move in and shit goes wrong. I also really love that townhomes have like a little community area. The one we were looking at had a saltwater pool and a dog park. And we don't want to do like a condo on the 4th floor, or we don't really want to do a condo again just because we want to be able to get like a dog and have a yard. And so townhomes, I think, is kind of what we're looking at now. So if you are a realtor out there and you want to help me out, here are our non-negotiables in a home and kind of what we plan to do with a little townhome is. So we want a 3-bedroom, obviously 1 bedroom for Pat and I, 1 bedroom for, ideally it'll be both of our offices. Like I need obviously like a little studio of sorts. I have like a standing desk with a little walking pad. I would love to be able to use that again. I haven't used it since Pat moved in because he has his own little desk set up. And then he would have his other office in the other room. So we'd have 2 offices, 1 bedroom. But I think we might combine our offices into 1 room for now and perhaps, get a roommate maybe in that third room. Probably like more like my brother. He's moved back to Minneapolis. I'm so excited he's here. But I think it'd be fun if my brother moved in with us and he could just pay our HOA fee. Like, okay, save a little money. And then when shit gets wild and he stops cleaning up after himself, then I'll kick him out and then we can have both of our offices. But I want my brother to love Minneapolis, so I gotta like show him the ropes a little bit, Also looking for a mostly updated kitchen, just updated in general. I still plan to do a little renovations, but everyone's like, why don't you just buy a fixer upper? Bitch, I have a business to run. I have a lot of things going on and I don't want to spend like a ton of time renovating. And I know some people find that so fun and cute and a good project to do with each other, but I really don't want to have to do that. Yes, there's still going to be like little projects I'm going to have to do around the house, but I do not want to have to renovate an entire kitchen. I want it to be like pretty updated, modern. Okay. I also, that third criteria was going to just be the first floor. We need to be able to take out a dog, need to have a yard. So if it's a townhome, it has to be first floor. I also want a decent sized closet, okay? Because the place we just looked at had the most amazing closet, which is why I was in love with it. And I just need this closet. Like I need this exact townhome replicated and I'll move in. And then lastly, we need a 2-stall garage. And I was like, totally like, why don't we just have a 1-stall garage? Pat can park outside, right? That's the man's job, to park outside in the winter. And Pat's like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay, fuck. I'm like, damn it. So we have to have a 2-stall garage, which is also a kicker. Housing market's spicy right now. Good luck. If you're out there, good luck. I've had so many people respond to me that once I said that we lost the offer and we didn't get the house, didn't get this townhome, people were responding with, we looked at 10 houses. We got it on the 11th offer. It took us 7 houses, 8 houses. We toured 30 houses. I was like, I'm not going through this process again because I was so fucking stressed out this weekend. It's because we found the house on Saturday morning, went to see the house Saturday afternoon. Saturday night, we went back to the house with our realtor and we're like, we want this. And then Sunday morning, we were on the phone with loaner, lender, realtor, put in an offer, wrote up an amazing offer. We pulled all the fucking stops. There was only one other offer. Okay. Then last minute, someone put in an all cash offer. And you know what it is? It's these big ass companies that buy places like this and then rent it out. Because who puts in an all cash offer and waives the inspection? Like, are you fucking crazy waiving the inspection? Big companies continue to waive inspections and put in all cash offers. Am I ever going to get a goddamn home? Nah. Also, I should have mentioned, but Pat and I are dealing with a lot more things right now. We are, I don't know how much I want to talk about this right now. I feel like I should have Pat on for it, but we're definitely having some other relationship struggles. And I just want to mention that because from the outside, I feel like everyone thinks every other couple is so happy and they're just so in love and all these things. And you're supposed to get in a little bit of arguments. And every time Pat and I get in an argument, we discuss it. He stays calm. Like we communicate through it. And every time we come out closer and better as a couple together. And I do think arguments are important. So just saying that, if you feel like you're alone in a relationship and you're the only couple out there that is having disagreements, you're not, and it's totally normal. I'm supposed to end with my weekly weirds, but this is kind of fucking long, bruh. Why does this keep beeping on me? Okay, we're just going to make this real fast because weekly weirds, they're weird, I'm weird, and where is it? Weekly weirds. It's a segment where we ask viewers weird questions and expose your answers, share weird weekly news you probably haven't heard of, and we give some weird advice to anonymous listener write-ins. Potential weird question, or the weird question that I asked this week that I kind of forgot to look through. So we're just going to do it together. I asked, I thought this was on theme with my little house chat today, but what's one household staple you refuse to spend less on? Like an example is fancy toilet paper. That's definitely mine. I hate wiping my ass or my vagine, coochie with some scratchy thin ass paper. So will not happen. I need something thick and mighty. So I spend money on good toilet paper. Okay, so let's see what people said. Oh, this is a good one. Vital Farm eggs. $8 a dozen, but so delicious. Definitely agree. Pasture raised. Candles. Cheap candles are boof. Kleenex, because I'm not trying to sandpaper my nose. Honestly, does anyone else not buy Kleenex and just use toilet paper? Someone says, I never buy shredded cheese. I always buy expensive big blocks of cheese and then shred it myself. Air filters for the HVAC system. Air quality is so important to me. Flowers every single week because they make me happy. Oh my God. Everyone right now, go out, buy yourself some flowers. We love Trader Joe's bouquet. While you're at it, get a block of cheese. You can shred it. Someone said Branch Basic Cleaning Spray. Non-toxic and clean ingredients. I want to talk about that because... yeah, that's a good point. And that is something I haven't switched over yet. I know everyone's talking about like hormone disruptors and having clean products, clean makeup. That is one thing I haven't done. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this and why you buy clean, non-toxic cleaning products and makeup. And if you've seen a difference, felt a difference, because I'm curious myself. Put it in the comments because I want to know. And what cleaning products should I get? Like what brand? Branch Basics is one. If there's any other you recommend, let me know because I like still use bleach sometimes. And sometimes I feel like I get a little high when I'm cleaning. Like I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be using this product. That's the weekly weird question for the week. Kind of weird and lame, but you know what? Fucking roll with it. Okay, weekly weird news that you probably haven't heard about. Snakes almost on a plane is the headline. Yeah, TSA discovers a bag with small snakes in passengers' pants. This is in Miami airport security. Okay. Airport security officers in Miami found a slithering surprise last week, a bag of snakes hidden in a passenger's pants. According to an ex post by the Transportation Security Administration, officers at the Miami International Airport found the small bag of snakes hidden in a passenger's trousers on April 26th at a checkpoint. Absolutely not. Oh my God, the first movie I saw that was like, I don't know if it's R-rated, but it was not PG. Oh my God, my shit died again, y'all. It says internal temp too high. I need a new camera, so let me know what you recommend. So we're doing this on a black screen, but you better finish listening with me. Needing advice. We give some weird advice to anonymous listener write in. Usually Pat's with me for these, but he's working today, and I didn't want to be up his asshole when he got home. I wanted to let him do his thing. So here is the question titled, Boyfriend Keeps Looking at Other Women's Breasts. My boyfriend always looks at women's breasts whenever he gets the chance. He will even turn his head when we are walking together on the street. I told him I don't like when he does that around me. He has done it less recently, but I still see it happen. We were watching a TV show and he moved closer to the screen to see the women's boobs. Oh my God, no. I got upset and brought it up to him again, and he said since it's not morally wrong, he doesn't see a problem with it because it's a TV show. He's making me feel bad and saying that I'm trying to change him, but I feel like this is just a simple request he can stop doing out of respect for me. I find it very disrespectful and gross. He's too old to be doing this, acting like a horny teenager. I don't want to be with anyone who doesn't have any self-control. We have been dating for a year though. The fact that he can't grasp the principle of the situation is what makes me the most frustrated. Is this normal behavior for men in relationships? Oh my gosh. Okay. Is this Pat? Just kidding. I feel like it's no, Pat wouldn't do that. But I mean, Pat definitely likes boobs. I'm gonna be honest. Like Pat's a boob guy. So don't know why he's dating me. But it is normal for guys to obviously like attractive boobs. But like scooting forward to see it better right in front of your girlfriend or your wife on a TV is just really strange. And he's like a 13-year-old boy or something. Looking at a woman's breasts, you know, like passing by, sometimes it's just a glance that is just inherently something men do. Just to take a peek. Like if a woman has nice breasts, like I'll take a little peek too. But I'm not staring. There's a difference between like a quick look and a stare. I feel like you kind of grow out of the staring thing as you age and mature as a male, out of the respect for women and just respect for general humanity. You know, I don't know. I just feel like the staring is a little much. Whether it's morally wrong or not is, I guess, kind of irrelevant. But what matters is that it's just inconsiderate. And especially because you've expressed your discomfort with it. So I feel like since you're only a year in, when I say only, I know that can be a lot, but I would express it one more time and kind of give him an ultimatum like, bro, you got to figure this out, because if it bothers you that much, it's only going to get worse. So I would absolutely say it's either time to move on if he's not receptive of this last final conversation. But okay, sorry, my camera died again on you guys. I don't know why. I literally got the Sony Mirror 2. I think it's better for vlogging or something, but it gets too hot when I record for longer than like 30 minutes. So oops. All right, I love you guys. See you next week.